This evening on Fox 26 KNPN, breaking news out of Kansas City, Kansas this afternoon as a police officer is gunned down. We'll have late word on that crime situation coming up next. And the report of an active shooter in St. Joe on 22nd Street had police and neighbors a little nervous today. We'll tell you about the report that had this part of town on edge.
And we've seen quite a few clouds around the area today from more rain, just missing our area. We're seeing hot and humid conditions, and it's only going to get warmer. I'll let you know how warm it's going to get coming up as your news, and Fox 26 KNPN starts now.
Live from St. Joseph and Buchanan County to Andrew, DeKalb, and Donovan counties, this is News Press Now at 5 on Fox 26 KNPN.
Good evening on this Tuesday. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 26 KNPN. I'm Bob Heater. A tragic story tonight. Our top story comes from Kansas City, Kansas, where a police officer was shot and killed by a male gunman who is now in custody. Captain Robert Melton was answering an armed disturbance call here near 22nd Street and Haskell Avenue. He was by himself apparently when he pulled up to the scene. That's when gunfire came from the SUV. The police veteran was pronounced dead at the KU Medical Center about 2:30 this afternoon. At least 3 suspects are in custody after they attempted to run from the scene. Police are still searching for at least one more suspect, according to the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. 2 female inmates are alleging inappropriate touching at the Buchanan County Jail. Sheriff Mike Strong addressed that issue at a press conference earlier today. An advanced correctional health care employee, a third-party contractor, was fired after the complaint was made to jail staff June 27th. That sparked an investigation, and the complaint was corroborated through witness accounts and evidence. The investigation also uncovered a second victim. The 2 separate incidents happened in the health care facility. Strong says advanced correctional health care has been cooperative and there are safeguards in place to prevent this from happening again. The sheriff's office submitted the investigation to the prosecutor's office for review. Gabriel Dawson sits in the Buchanan County Jail tonight, unable to post a $20,000 cash-only bond. The 16-year-old Dawson waived his right to a preliminary hearing. He is charged with first-degree attempted robbery after the botched robbery he and his friend Skylar Powell attempted to pull off the night of May 17th. He's seen here in a previous interview that we did with him. Powell was shot and died on a parking lot near 23rd and Calhoun Streets after both sides began firing at each other. Dawson is one of the 5 individuals charged in that crime. He will have a hearing in Judge Dan Kellogg's court July 28th. 2 Pokemon Go players were robbed Sunday night near the Remington Nature Center trail in St. Joe. Police say the 2 victims were looking to capture the virtual Pokemon characters when 2 men approached them with a silver handgun. The men demanded phones and wallets from the 2 gamers. The robbery happened about 9:30 Sunday night on the Riverwalk Trail near the Nature Center. Police ask anyone who might have seen anything suspicious in that area or if they have information to call the anonymous tips hotline at 238-TIPS. A report of gunmen on a roof turned out to be a false alarm today, thankfully. Officers in St. Joseph were called to the 700 block of 22nd Street about 1 o'clock this afternoon. A caller reported hearing shots fired and seeing people on a roof with guns. The Family Guidance Center was locked down for a short period of time. Police also received a report of a possible gunman running through the Mental Health Services building. Police say both of those were false alarms and there were no gunmen in the area. The St. Joseph Police Department wants to buy a new remote robot. Officers will use that robot's cameras for surveillance to enhance officer safety in situations where someone may be armed or the situation is too dangerous for officers. The police department is now researching robot models. The tactical team is looking for one that has the capacity to open doors, among other things. A sergeant with the police department says the robot is essentially a remote control car with a camera. The department has a robot now, but its technology is almost 10 years old.
99% of the time we use it is during a search warrant where we know someone might be armed or has a possibility of being armed, so we would drive the robot into the house or into the room to look around before we have to send an officer in to see what's going on.
Now, after the department chooses a new robot, it will need city council approval to make that purchase. Wow, it is just a little warm around the edges out there, I noticed when I walked in a while ago.
Yeah, and
Gee whiz.
it's just getting started.
What is our current temp?
Well, we'll take a look in a second. I don't want
let's
to give
do
it
that.
away just yet. We'll take a look at that. But
spoil the surprise.
oh, it's we've had again a little bit of relief because there was actually
Yeah.
rain just up to the north and just to our northeast, out near I-35. So not far from us. It'd be nice if we saw some of that.
Yeah,
but
really.
yeah, it's going to stay hot. Let's take a quick look at Storm Tracker 26. We are seeing some decent conditions around here. Decent because I'm going to compare that to what you're going to see Thursday and Friday. It's just not going to be fun around here. We do have quite a few clouds, and I think that is saving us from extremely hot conditions across the region here. We are talking about some warm temperatures outside right now and some humid conditions. There we go. 92, Bob. Not too bad. But it feels like 102 out there with the heat index, so that's kind of a big issue here. Feels like 100 at Missouri Western, but look, again, up towards our north and northeast, 75 in Albany, 79 in Maryville, so more clouds, but most of the rain has been up into Iowa and out towards our northeast, so we are just missing it, and we're going to just miss it for the rest of the evening here. I'm not expecting any of this rain to roll into the area. Well, now, looks like we got a little bit of an update here because it didn't look like this just a little while ago. Looks like we're now all in an excessive heat advisory. I have a feeling this is going to be for Thursday and Friday around here, but we do have, as of a few minutes ago, a heat advisory until 7 p.m. on Friday. We are talking temperatures ranging from today and tomorrow, more than likely 100 to 105. As we get into Thursday and Friday, we're talking 105, 110, maybe even past that. I think we have a really good chance of hitting 100 degrees here for a couple days. That's not including the humidity. So hot and muggy conditions will continue this evening. Dangerously hot conditions are still to come. And again, we are talking about getting very close to our temperature just reaching 100 degrees. We'll take a look at that forecast to break everything down for you and tell you if we're going to see any relief coming up here in about 5 minutes, Bob.
All right, thanks, Christian. It is day 2 at the Republican Convention, and it heats up. Tonight, Joey Parker from our sister station KMIZ has the latest from the convention. Joey, what can you tell us about all the excitement during day 2 at the Republican Convention?
Well, Bob, I'll tell you, it is underway right now, and if you notice a few minutes ago, the House Speaker, Paul Ryan, was on stage, then Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions getting the crowd worked up. Tonight's focus is Make America Work Again, focusing on American jobs, and with events like domestic terrorism and police assassinations now on the minds of many Americans, some foreign policy experts are asking if President Trump could be up to the job of focusing on the working economy and not get too distracted by different international events that are going on. Now, of all the folks here today, I met with a former advisor to President George W. Bush to ask him if he thinks that Donald Trump can grasp the complex and volatile nature of today's violent world. He says he thinks he can. He thinks his guy is the guy to do that. He also says that it's about who you surround yourself with. So that's to be seen. Now, the vote is about to happen on the floor right here behind me in just a few minutes. They'll do a roll call, and that will expectedly, and I mean, there should be nothing that comes up that would counter this, but will put Donald Trump at the proper delegates formally to be the Republican nominee and take that presumptive out of his title right now. He will be the Republican nominee for President of the United States, and we'll continue to follow up on that. But reporting live in Cleveland, the Republican National Committee and Convention. Bob?
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks for the update there, Joey, from the Republican National Convention. Well, there is controversy from last night's speech on the floor at the convention.
God bless you and God bless America.
Day one of the Republican convention was full of drama and suspense, with partial floor revolts, followed by a speech by Donald Trump's wife. It was a well-received address, but it didn't take long for some pundits to start pointing out that a couple of passages seem to have been lifted from another speech given by Michelle Obama in 2008. The Trump campaign denies that the speech was plagiarized, saying it's just a political sideshow that really has nothing to do with the real issues.
You work hard for what you want in life.
That you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond. and you do what you say and keep your promise.
Now, in an interview shot before her big speech, Melania Trump told Matt Lauer that she wrote most of the speech with a little help that she delivered last night. As the Republican convention moves ahead tonight, some GOP office holders and office seekers have stayed home. In Missouri, Republicans have 2 weeks left before the state primary, and that includes U.S. Senate race. 3 Republicans have lined up to face incumbent Senator Roy Blunt, who is seeking his second term and did not go to Cleveland. Blunt has raised millions in his reelection bid, while his opponents have yet to even file federal financial disclosures. Christy Nichols, Bernie Mowinski, and also Ryan Luthi are Blunt's potential challengers. The Missouri primary happens August 2nd. A new state law will require all students in Missouri to be tested for dyslexia. Public schools and the legislature have created a task force that will spend the next 2 years coming up with ways to identify and help students with the dyslexia disorder. Testing will begin during the 2018-19 school year after the task force has made its recommendations. The law requires districts to provide reasonable support for students with dyslexia. Local school leaders say that they are closely following the issue so they can adequately serve all students.
St. Joe won't be doing it alone. Because it is a state mandate, I think the task force will offer recommendations, and then from there, I'm sure the professional organizations, from the superintendent's organizations to the school board organizations, will all work collectively to determine how we're going to best get this implemented statewide.
That bill also requires teachers to have at least 2 hours of training per year by helping students with reading disabilities. The St. Joseph City Council voted last night to approve an increase in sewer user fees. The rates will increase by 11% beginning August 1st and is scheduled to increase by that same amount again next August. Now, originally the rates were to go up 15% this year, but that amount was reduced in order to ease the financial burden on users, and an extra 4% was added to next year's increase. The average sewer customer can probably expect to see about an additional $6.50 on their monthly bill. Well, we have updates coming up on today's top national stories straight out of our weather. That's coming up after the break.
And I have some new information coming in. It looks like we're about to feel the warmest and most humid conditions that we have felt yet this summer. I'll tell you when to expect that coming up next.